Welcome back to another Explainer. Today we're unpacking a really fascinating digital trend that has just completely taken over our algorithms. So if you've spent any time scrolling online lately, you've probably noticed a pretty unexpected voice breaking through the usual noise. You know, the life hacks, the daily grind, the hyper-productivity stuff. Suddenly, right in the middle of all our modern chaos, the internet is turning its collective ear toward the soothing, mid-20th century wisdom of philosophers like Alan Watts and Carl Jung. We're going to look closely at the data and the content behind this viral resurgence to figure out exactly what this digital Zen movement says about us today.
Okay, let's dive into this, because we're staring at a massive paradox here. In an era where we're constantly told everything is urgent, where every single notification demands an immediate response, and self-optimization is basically a full-time job, why are millions of people suddenly trying to act like nothing matters? I mean, it sounds totally counterintuitive, right? Almost like this massive internet-wide surrender. But as we look closer at the source material driving this whole trend, we quickly see it's really not about giving up. Actually, it's a highly targeted strategy for anxiety relief.
Just wrap your head around this number. Over 1.1 million. Specifically, 1,123,744. That is the staggering view count a single piece of content titled Act As If Nothing Matters, Alan Watts on Letting Go, racked up on a channel called Dream Big Daily. And get this, it hit that massive number in just 2 short months. Over 1 million people clicking on one singular message. That data point alone proves there's a massive cultural hunger for this very specific type of content right now. People are actively searching for an off-ramp from their daily stress.
Which brings us to Section 1, the philosophy of letting go.
You are not living life. Life is living you. It's a pretty heavy, thought-provoking phrase, isn't it? It perfectly captures the recurring theme we're seeing across all these viral philosophical sources. It's really all about letting go of the steering wheel. It's this powerful reminder that trying to micromanage every tiny detail of your existence isn't just exhausting, it's actually an illusion. The core philosophy here is urging you to trust the natural, unfolding process of existence.
What's really interesting about this breakdown is how we can take the themes of these various Alan Watts recommendations curated by the algorithm and basically synthesize them into a crystal clear anti-anxiety framework for the modern overthinker. We've got distinct directives: stop overthinking and anxiety, don't take life too seriously, never be angry at anyone, and honestly my personal favorite, stop trying to fix yourself. When you string them all together, it forms this complete, step-by-step manifesto. The algorithm is literally feeding an exhausted generation a guide to doing less and simply being more.
Moving right along to Section 2, Watts, Jung, and Green, decoding the algorithm.
So when you engage with this content, the platform's recommendation engine immediately goes to work. And it reveals how different philosophical approaches are basically battling for our attention right now. It's not just Alan Watts dominating the space. He's part of this much larger digital tapestry of thinkers being pushed to modern viewers. The algorithm essentially categorizes our modern desires into 3 distinct buckets. If you want radical acceptance, finding calm and letting life flow, the algorithm serves you Alan Watts with titles like Don't Force Anything. Now, if your focus is psychological healing and overcoming deep-seated fears, it serves up Carl Jung with messaging like Nothing and Nobody Will Ever Hurt You Again. But then, interestingly, there's this sharp pivot to power dynamics represented by Robert Greene, offering content like Why Powerful People Suddenly Disappear. It's a fascinating look at what the modern internet user is really looking for: to find calm, to heal trauma, and to understand the intense power dynamics happening around them.
Drilling down specifically into the 2 dominant voices of this digital Zen movement, we find a really fascinating contrast. It's summarized perfectly by another viral title, Jung versus Watts. One had the map, the other had the method. On one side, you have Carl Jung providing the map, this deep, complex focus on psychological healing, doing the difficult shadow work, and seeking guidance from a higher power. Then, on the flip side, you have Alan Watts providing the method, a much more straightforward philosophy of radical acceptance, stepping back, and just letting life flow naturally without taking things too seriously. They're basically 2 entirely different paths leading to the exact same destination: mental peace.
And this brilliantly illustrates that we are not just looking at a flash-in-the-pan trend. The view counts on older uploads that are still circulating are absolutely wild. A Watts lecture titled Letting Go is sitting at 2.5 million views. A Carl Jung piece, Nobody Will Hurt You Again, boasts 3 million views. And another Watts lecture, Don't Take Life Too Seriously, has an unbelievable 5 million views going back 10 years. These massive, multi-million milestones prove this is a widespread, ongoing societal movement. People are consistently returning to these specific thinkers like digital comfort food.
And that brings us to Section 3, Trusting the Universe's Flow.
Now, it's great to talk about these high-level philosophical concepts, but what are the practical, actionable takeaways we can actually extract from this digital ecosystem? How do we apply this mid-century wisdom to our highly stressful 21st century lives? Well, by looking directly at the explicit advice embedded in this content, we can pull out a surprisingly practical 3-step guide. Step 1, stop fearing the future. Step 2, let the universe deliver what you deserve. And step 3, don't force anything. Whether it's Watts telling you to let life flow or Jung telling you to let a higher power guide you, the actionable advice is remarkably consistent. It absolutely demands that you stop struggling against your current circumstances.
So the crucial point here is this incredibly comforting message. The universe is listening. This is another actual phrase from our source data, pulling tens of thousands of views in a matter of days. It acts as the perfect digital antidote to modern stress because it fundamentally shifts the burden of responsibility. You don't have to shout into the void and fix everything yourself. The universe is already listening. You just kind of have to get out of its way.
Let's jump right into Section 4, Does It Actually Matter?
Now, we really can't do an explainer on modern internet culture without looking at how a trend permeates every single corner of the platform. Because this philosophy isn't just living in hour-long serious lectures, it's being remixed. I absolutely love this detail from the source data. The main Alan Watts video has been remixed into 14 different YouTube shorts. And right alongside videos of people driving in the rain, there is literally a short titled, Husky Child Asked Me One Question, Does It Actually Matter? Yes, even a Siberian Husky is getting in on the existentialism. When mid-century philosophy about the nature of existence is being paired with cute dog content, you know the trend has fully permeated the cultural zeitgeist.
But all jokes aside, the core takeaway from all these sources remains incredibly potent, finding peace by letting go of control. The massive appeal of thinkers like Watts and Jung in today's algorithmic landscape comes down to one simple fact. They're giving an exhausted, overworked, and completely overstimulated generation the ultimate permission to simply stop forcing things. I want to leave you with a final thought inspired by our journey through this data today. Ask yourself, are you constantly trying to live life, pushing and forcing every single outcome? Or are you finally ready to step back, let go of the control, and let life live you? Take that question with you as you step away from the screen today. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I'll see you next time as we decode another fascinating topic together.